So let's say it's my job as the hypnotist, the person guiding your meditation experience. Let's say I'm playing a game and I win if I get your right arm to feel like it's stuck down on your leg or on the table. I get the right arm to feel like it's stuck down. Half of you, if I just say literally, isn't it interesting, right? Because it's sleight of mouth. So I don't want to just say, your right arm is stuck down. There are some people who will go, whoa, but you guys are a little smarter than that, right? So as a hypnotist, I have to play a game. I have to do a magic trick with my mouth. So basically, I would say something like, isn't it interesting that you guys have been sitting here for going on, an hour and a half at this point? Is that right? And so you sit, you get comfortable. I wonder if it's the having sat and gotten comfortable for well over an hour that makes the arm really feel stuck down, or if we have a tendency to lean to the right without even thinking about it, especially if the low back pain tends to be more on the left side, right? So it's interesting how the right arm just has a tendency to, right? So that was literal, believe it or not, because I told you that the right arm was stuck down. And I got a lot of nods from people, which tells me, okay, they're with me. All I'm doing as a hypnotist is to get you to search your mind for what heavy arm means. And if I get any agreement from you at all, you're suggestible to me, and then I keep going with it, right? So half of the table is like, oh wait, that's weird. It does feel a little heavier. The other half is like, okay. So with the literal people, I give you a direct suggestion and you already start to go in, and then I just continue to give you direct suggestions. With people who use inference, they want to outsmart me. So how do I get the smart thinky people to make it feel like their arm is stuck down? Because I got to do it in order to win. Here's how I do it. Let's pretend, you guys have been to yoga class or something like it where they have the heavy wool blankets, like the Mexican blankets. You know the ones I'm talking about? Right, the heavy? Yep. So like if you were to pick up one of those folded Mexican yoga blankets, you would feel your bicep contract because it's quite heavy. I don't know how many pounds, but it's quite heavy, right? So imagine you had 20 of those wool yoga blankets on your arm. How would your arm feel? Any of you can answer. Yeah, it would feel heavy. It would feel stuck down, right? It'd be hard to lift your arm out of that. Okay, so that most people fit into the category I just gave you. And the way I use suggestion on these people is I ask a question that puts them in control, and so they'll answer the question. And if any of you answered the question out loud or in your mind, then I, as the hypnotist, move on from there. There's a third category of people. They're what we call intellectual emos. They are in their head, calculating all the time. That person would say, but there aren't 20 yoga blankets here, or I've never been to yoga class, or some reason to not take my suggestion. So now how would you, if you had to win the game, how would you get their arm stuck down? I use a question, and I use what's called a double bind. You need to get out here on time? Is that it? Is you checking right? So I would use what's known as a double bind. If they answer A, I win. If they answer B, I win. And so for the person who's really stuck in their head, who has to be right all the time, right? Inference, they have to make it mean something. What I would do is I would say, you know those yoga blankets, right? How many of those do you think it would take stacked on your arm for you to feel like you couldn't lift your arm at all? What might your answer be to that question?
10, 15.
Thank you. There you go. So in doing so, here's the double bind. This is a person, whoever it might be, who prides themselves on being right. So that if they get it wrong, that's death to their identity. So they have to get it right. So if they answer, it means they've searched their mind, which means now my suggestions take this down the road of where we want to go because they've thought about what I've asked them, right? And so these are the kind of things that we do, and this is how we play the little game. You probably have all learned techniques like this when it comes to sales and working with your clients. And so if by the end of today you can pay attention to every sort of sleight of mouth that I use, because I can tell you every single trick I'm using and still it works. And so if you pay attention and start to pick those things out, your subconscious mind is already going to start to learn how then to communicate with clients in very, very subtle ways that they didn't even know that it was a sales technique you were using. And of course, when you do it, you're always honest. You always really care about the product that you're presenting to them. Just as with this product, it's about the relaxation experience, right? And so when you can connect in ways where you find yourself asking questions, putting them in control, but the truth is you're the one really leading it, you find more and more it starts to build your business through honest communication, through relationships, and through an emotional journey, which I didn't hear anything Bill said earlier, but I'm going to imagine it had to do something with the relaxation emotional journey that has to do with a product, with a bathroom, but it's about the emotional experience of it. And so we're going to have a little bit of that today. At the end, if you guys had found that even in moments, even if your mind drifted off, if you had moments of checking in and really paying attention and looking for those clues, you already learned it, and it means you can already start using it. Usually it means ask questions, and they will give you the answer. And if you ask a question and you get a nod while you're answering it, they're with you and they've become agreeable to you, and they break their own personal contract to themselves if they then later disagree with you. So that's a little bit of a sales technique that you can take with you. So now, really, really fun hypnotic stuff. Whose arm feels heavy?